Thank you. NOVADIP was founded in 2013 to develop a new class of bone product in view to restore the bone physiology. And now we are a clinically advanced company with realizing 5 clinical trials since the start of the company. We have 2 classes of products, large bone reconstructions to avoid amputations, and based on the knowledge that we acquired with this autologous bone program, we developed an allogenic cell-derived product as a first line of treatment to restore bone physiology in patients with bone non-unions. Since the bone non-unions is increasing dramatically now due to comorbidities factors such as steroids, obesity, and also aging, because we are losing 50% of our potential to treat and to restore bone continuity after 50 years old. In this context, we develop a unique platform called 3M3 for three-dimensional scaffold-free approach, derived from adipose stem cells. For the autologous bone program, the origin of our platform is a small adipose tissue collections, 2 to 3 cc, that we use to isolate stem cells. We are producing a three-dimensional mature product that we can transplant directly into the body to restore the bone continuity after a big trauma or in a congenital disease for young patients. In parallel, and based on the key growth factors and microRNAs involved in the process of the bone healing, we develop an allogenic approach, which is not a cell-based, but a cell-derived, because we are using only the matrix to vehicle the growth factors and the microRNA as a first line of treatment. We develop an off-the-shelf bioactive matrix. I demonstrate to you that we are in clinical stage company. We already demonstrated in severe trauma in adult populations of patients after very infections and trauma that we can restore the bone healing physiology. But most important things, and really the target of our company, is to treat these ultra-rare indications in pediatric populations called the congenital pseudarthrosis of the tibia. You can see these young kids aged 3 years old with a full disruption of the tibia, eligible, unfortunately, for an amputations. And now you can see that 2 years after you saw he can walk, we restore the length of the limb and restore a normal quality of life. Currently, we are conducting a phase 1b/2a trials in US and in EU, and all the patients were recruited, and we implanted the first patients in US in last November. For the off-the-shelf, and based on what we learned from the autologous bone product, we developed this bioactive powder as a first line of treatment for old patients, for example, in that case, with a radius trauma, a classical fracture in old patients. The product can be formulated very easily during operating room just with blood. You can directly implant into the body, and you can see at discharge that we have already the bone defect filled by the matrix. But most important thing, after 3 months, is that exactly the timing that we saw for the allogenic one. We restore the complete bone continuity. We restore by the stimulations of the host recipient cells, the new formations of the bone by the product called here allogenic 1 NVDX3. We are not only in trauma, and we know that spine is a big market and also is now associated to high rate of bone non-unions, especially due to obesity and smoking. It's why we are performing in parallel of our trauma study preclinical models in large animal models in sheep, for example, a model of spine fusions, and we perform a posterolateral spine fusions here that we demonstrated after 3 months we have a complete full bridging in comparisons with the autologous bone graft used currently as the gold standard. In parallel of our preclinical large animal models, we are conducting now also in EU a spine fusion trials in view to demonstrate that the safety and also the feasibility of our product. The most interesting thing, currently we are the first one off-the-shelf allogenic cell-derived product, stored at room temperature, and also without any elicitations of immune reactions, humoral and cellular. It's fully tolerated by the host. not only in allogenic, but also in case of xenogenic context, because here that was human materials implanted into the sheep recipient. With this platform, we are the only ones to cover 95% of the clinical indications in the orthopedic field, because our autologous cell-based product can cover all the adult and pediatric populations for a large defect, covering a market size of $1 billion US, incorporating all the orphan indications that you can find in large bone indications. And in the opposite, the off-the-shelf cell-derived product, it's really a new paradigm to restore the bone healing physiology for patients currently affected by these bone non-unions and the comorbidity factors leading to this non-healing of the bone for a significant broader market, $7 billion US, mainly driven by trauma and spine, and also mainly driven by the US market. I have mentioned you, we are a clinical stage company because we already completed the first trials in bone non-unions, large bone defect for the adult populations. We recruited all the patients, and all the patients are treated with the autologous product for the ultra-rare pediatric indications. And in parallel, you can see that the trauma trials is fully recruited for the off-the-shelf product, while we have already recruited 4 patients for the spine indications. Our goal, and we are already prepared now, is to be able to start all 4 US trials that you can see here in Q1 2025, because all the regulatory dossier, all the interactions, IND submissions, and Type C meeting for the FDA, respectively, are already done to start our trials in Q1 2025 and to be on the market end of 2026 with the autologous bone program and starting phase 2/phase 3 with the off-the-shelf. The objective, end of 2026, with the autologous bone program, we have access to a priority review voucher because we are dedicated to an ultra-rare pediatric indications, leading to this access to this PRV estimated in terms of transactions up to $100 million US in terms of revenue. And now we are seeking this $50 million US in view to really plan all what is needed to be achieved between early 2025 up to end 2026 to lead all in parallel this activity. And I'm relatively proud by the teams that we have, because all the patients transplanted currently, both in US and in EU, were treated with product produced in Belgium with the same teams now and with a really great expertise and challenged by purely mainly US KOLs from the HSS, from the Langone, and from also the Boston Children's Hospitals. And I think I'm on time. Thank you so much.